Stop being the free sample in a world that only respects the price tag. Every time you answer that text in seconds, every time you say yes when you mean no, and every time you offer your presence without a cost, you aren't being kind. You are devaluing your own currency. We are biologically programmed to ignore what is easy to get. It's why you'll pay $5 for a bottle of water in a desert, but won't even notice it running from a kitchen tap. If you feel invisible, it's because you've made yourself as common as oxygen. There is a brutal, Machiavellian logic to social power that most people are too afraid to use. Respect isn't earned by being available. It's commanded by becoming a luxury. If you are tired of being the person everyone likes, but no one values, you are about to undergo a total psychological repositioning. To shift from common water to a rare diamond, you must master the 9 phases of psychological positioning, starting with a move so counterintuitive, it feels like social suicide. The tax of silence. Have you ever wondered why the more you give, the less you're actually worth? It's the ultimate psychological paradox. The people you do anything for are often the ones who treat you like a seasonal afterthought. You've been told that being available and nice is the path to respect, but the brutal reality of human behavior says the exact opposite. Right now, you are being treated like tap water, vital for survival, but essentially free because you're everywhere. If you want to be valued like a diamond, you have to stop being so accessible. Today, we are stripping away the nice guy mask and applying the cold, calculated strategies of Niccolo Machiavelli, alongside the economic laws of scarcity, to reset your social price tag. We are diving deep into the 9 phases of psychological positioning, from mastering the art of friction to weaponizing the power of walking away. If you're tired of being the one who's always there but never prioritized, it's time to close the store. Your time is no longer for sale. It is now by invitation only. Let's begin. Most people operate under what I call the good person fallacy. You believe that social value is a meritocracy, where the most helpful, most available, and most kind person wins the highest level of respect. You've been lied to. In the economy of human emotion, kindness without a price tag isn't seen as a virtue, it's seen as a surplus. And in any market, when there is a surplus, the value plummets to 0. Think about your current relationships. You are the one who replies to the text in 30 seconds. You are the one who shifts your entire schedule because a friend needs to talk. You are the reliable one, the steady one, the one who is always there. And yet, when you look at the hierarchy of your social circle, you aren't at the top. You're the floor. People walk on you not because they are inherently evil, but because you've positioned yourself as the ground beneath their feet. You've become a utility, like electricity or Wi-Fi. People only notice you when you stop working. This isn't just a you problem. It's a biological imperative. The human brain is a dopamine-seeking machine that prioritizes the hunt over the capture. By being eternally available, you have killed the hunt. You've removed the friction that creates desire. You are giving away the prince treatment for the price of a penny. You think you're building a bridge of gold, but you're actually building a cage of convenience. But here is the most uncomfortable truth you will hear today, the one that flips everything you've been told about self-improvement on its head. Being high value has almost nothing to do with what you bring to the table. It has everything to do with how much it hurts to lose your seat at it. The truth is, you are currently suffering from a self-inflicted utility identity. Think about the objects in your life that you value most. Is it the air you breathe? No. You only think about air when you're suffocating. Is it the sidewalk you walk on? No. You only notice it when it's cracked and trips you up. You have become the psychological equivalent of a sidewalk to the people around you. By being constant, reliable, and endlessly giving, you have effectively removed yourself from their conscious awareness. You aren't a person to them anymore. You are a service. And services aren't respected. They are utilized until they break, and then they are replaced. This is the price of accessibility. Every time you drop what you're doing to solve someone else's problem, you aren't showing them your worth. You're showing them that your time has no market value. In the world of high-stakes influence, time is a currency, and you are currently printing it like hyperinflated paper. When there's too much of something, its value crashes. If you are always there, you are worth nothing. You've likely felt that hollow sting in your chest when you realize the person you'd jump in front of a train for wouldn't even check their phone to see if you made it home. It feels like a betrayal of your character, doesn't it? You think, I'm a good person. Why don't they see me? The answer is cold. They don't see you because there is no contrast. Without shadows, there is no light. Without the threat of your absence, your presence is just background noise. But here is where the logic of the world breaks, and where your transformation begins. Most self-help gurus will tell you to set boundaries or practice self-care. They want you to be nicer to yourself. That is a weak strategy that leads to a weak life. If you want to shift the power dynamic instantly, you have to stop trying to be better and start being gone. Most people think the opposite of love is hate. It's not. The opposite of love is indifference. And right now, your kindness is the fuel for their indifference. To fix this, you don't need a therapy session. You need a strategic withdrawal. You must realize that your greatest weapon isn't your voice, your help, or your goodness. It is your total, cold, and calculated unavailability. You need to stop being a good person and start being a difficult prize. Phase 1. The tax of silence. You talk too much. You explain too much. When someone texts you, you reply with a paragraph. You think over-communicating builds connection, but in the dark reality of social dynamics, it only signals desperation. Silence is heavy. It makes people uncomfortable. And that is exactly why you must use it. When you stop explaining yourself, you force the other person to invest mental energy into figuring you out. You become a puzzle instead of a pamphlet. But silence is just the baseline. If you want to trigger a genuine psychological obsession, you must graduate to the next step. Phase 2. The art of friction. Humans do not value what they get for free. They value what they bleed for. Look at luxury brands. They don't have clearance sales. They put you on a 2-year waiting list just for the privilege of handing them your money. Friction creates status. Right now, your life has 0 friction. You are a permanently open door. It is time to close it and make them knock. When someone asks for your time, your immediate answer is no longer yes. It is, let me check my schedule. It does not matter if your schedule is entirely empty. You manufacture the delay. That delay is your new price tag. Once you master friction, their respect for you will instantly spike. But respect alone isn't power. You need leverage. Phase 3. The currency of absence. You've been told that showing up is half the battle. Wrong. Strategically not showing up is how you win the war. You must pull back your presence without a single word of warning. Skip the routine hangout. Leave the message on read. Do not announce your departure. An unannounced absence creates a psychological void, and the human brain hates a void. They will scramble to fill it. They will reach out. And when they do, you don't validate their anxiety. You offer a polite, detached, "I've been busy." That exact moment of detachment is when the power dynamic permanently flips. But beware. They will notice this shift, and they will test your new boundaries. if you flinch during Phase 4, everything you just built will collapse overnight. Phase 4, the pushback. When you cut off the supply of your constant availability, they will not quietly accept it. They will panic. They will accuse you of acting cold, arrogant, or selfish. Let them. This isn't a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is the ultimate proof that your strategy is working. They aren't mourning the loss of a close friend. They are mourning the loss of a free resource. You were their personal, emotional ATM, and the machine just ate their card. Do not apologize. An apology signals vulnerability, and in this specific transition, vulnerability invites a brutal counterattack. Instead, stand still and watch them scramble. But surviving their anger is just the warm-up. The real danger is what they do when anger fails. Phase 5, emotional discipline. When tantrums don't work, they will deploy guilt. They will suddenly play the victim. They will send the long, emotional paragraph trying to drag you back into a familiar drama spiral. This is a trap. If you argue, you lose. If you justify your new boundaries, you hand them the leash right back. The Machiavellian response is absolute emotional zero. You meet their fire with a wall of ice. Respond to a frantic 5-line text with 2 words, understood, or all good. When you withhold your emotional reaction, you completely starve their ego. You strip them of the validation they are desperately trying to extract from your reaction. You become untouchable. Yet, being untouchable isn't enough to secure permanent high status. You must actively make them realize they are replaceable. Phase 6, the shadow allocation. Right now, your attention is a spotlight focused heavily on them. You must brutally redirect it. Start investing your manic energy into your own ambitions, your fitness, or completely new circles. Let them see, purely through your actions, that your life is moving at lightning speed and they are no longer in the passenger seat. Humans are fundamentally, biologically territorial. When they realize the premium real estate in your mind has been leased to something else, primal jealousy takes over. They will immediately start chasing the exact version of you they used to ignore. They will try to buy back the stock they foolishly sold at a discount. But you cannot let them back in easily. If you open the door too fast, you walk blindly into the fatal trap of Phase 7. Phase 7, the counterfeit concession. This is where most people fail. The moment the person who ignored you finally throws you a breadcrumb of validation, your ego screams at you to accept it. You think you've won. You haven't. They aren't offering you a real seat at the table. They are offering a temporary truce to see if you'll snap back into your old, compliant self. If you instantly reply to their sudden, "I miss you" text with a parade of emojis, you just proved your new boundaries were a total bluff. You crash your value right back to 0. To survive Phase 7, you must treat their sudden affection not as a victory, but as an audit. You don't celebrate. You evaluate. And that brings us to the most aggressive shift in your social strategy. Phase 8, the price hike. You don't just let them back in. You charge an admission fee. If they want your time now, they plan the dinner. They make the drive. They accommodate your schedule. You shift from being the desperate vendor to the selective consumer. You force them to invest. Why? Because human beings rationalize their own actions. The more effort they spend trying to win your attention, the more their brain convinces them you are absolutely worth the chase. You are literally hacking their neurology. But what happens if they refuse to pay the toll? What if they call your bluff and threaten to leave? That is the exact moment you deploy the final, most terrifying phase of all. Phase 9, the power of walking away. This isn't a cheap tactic. It is a psychological state of being. The person who is genuinely willing to walk away from any negotiation always holds the power. Always. You must cultivate a chilling, absolute willingness to let people go. If someone refuses to respect the new price tag you've placed on your life, you do not haggle. You do not explain your worth. You pack up your goods, and you permanently exit their market. Your total absence is the final receipt. It proves you weren't playing a game. But right now, a terrifying question is paralyzing you. If I walk away, won't I end up entirely alone? Yes, for a season you will. But that isolation isn't a punishment. It is a filtration system. Your current life is bloated with emotional parasites. These are people who love the utility of you, not the reality of you. When you hike your price, the parasites can no longer afford the rent. They drop off. Good. Let them. You are not running a charity for lazy egos. You are building a fortress of mutual respect. The trash just took itself out. But what happens next is the definitive secret of the 1% who wield absolute social power. Nature abhors a vacuum. By brutally clearing out the cheap consumers, you create premium shelf space. Luxury buyers do not shop in discount bins. High-level friends, elite partners, and heavy hitters only do business with people who respect their own time. They can smell desperation from a mile away, but they also recognize sovereignty. To enter their room, however, you must survive the hardest psychological gauntlet of all. I call it the test of the void. For a few weeks, it will be dead quiet. Your phone will stop buzzing. The cheap, everyday dopamine hits will vanish. Your nervous system will panic. It will literally scream at you to text them first, to compromise, to put yourself back on the clearance rack just to feel a fleeting second of validation. Do not flinch. That deafening silence is just the sound of your market value compounding. Because the moment you surrender to the quiet, you trigger a catastrophic social collapse. Crawl back now, and you prove your boundaries were nothing but a fragile bluff. You become worse than free. You become a joke. But if you hold your ground in the void, the brutal math of human behavior takes over. The people who tested you will suddenly look around and realize the market is full of fakes. They will realize they cannot find your caliber of loyalty anywhere else. You were the gold standard, and they fumbled you. The regret will hit them like a physical blow, and when they inevitably come crawling back, because they always do, you are going to execute the most ruthless move in the Machiavellian playbook. You do not gloat. You do not exact revenge. You look at them with the mild, polite indifference of a CEO declining a terrible contract. You look at them and realize you don't even want them anymore. The transition is complete. You didn't just change how the world sees you. You permanently mutated how you see yourself. You are no longer the water. You are the diamond. This is the moment the utility identity dies and the sovereign self is born. You have spent years terrified that if you stopped being the free sample, the world would stop wanting you. But the opposite is the only truth that matters. The world only wants what it can't easily have. By applying the tax of silence and the art of friction, you aren't becoming a villain. You are finally becoming a person. You are transitioning from the background noise of someone else's life to the lead character in your own. The ultimate realization of this psychological repositioning is that your value was never actually zero. It was simply misplaced. You were offering diamond-level loyalty to people who were only looking for a bargain. You were acting like oxygen, essential, yet ignored, when you were meant to be the rare atmosphere found only at the highest peaks. When you finally close the store and stop negotiating with people who don't have the currency to afford you, you aren't losing friends. You are shedding weights. The test of the void is the final bridge between who you were and who you are destined to become. In that silence, you find the most powerful version of yourself, the one who doesn't need a notification to feel worthy, and the one who doesn't need to be useful to be respected. You have hacked the biological hunt and reawakened the desire of those around you by simply remembering your own worth. The paradox is solved. The hunt is back on. You are no longer the tap water running endlessly into a drain of indifference. You are the oasis in the desert, guarded, precious, and life-altering for those who finally earn the right to reach you. The price has been set. The gates are closed. From this moment forward, your presence is no longer a right. It is the ultimate privilege. The transition from the utility identity to the sovereign self isn't just a social strategy. It is a psychological rebirth. You started this journey as tap water, exhausted by your own availability, and wondering why your kindness was met with indifference. You've walked through the fire of the 9 phases, survived the panic of the pushback, and held your ground in the terrifying silence of the void. And here is the ultimate, cold truth that closes the loop. The reason people didn't value you wasn't because you lacked worth, but because you lacked a boundary. You were a kingdom with no walls, wondering why you were being pillaged. By installing the tax of silence and mastering the art of friction, you haven't just changed the market price of your time. You have changed the gravity of your existence. You no longer need to scream to be heard or run to be noticed. High-value individuals don't chase. They attract through the sheer mass of their own self-respect. The paradox is finally resolved. The less you give to those who don't deserve it, the more you have for those who do. This is the Enlightenment. Being a rare diamond isn't about being cold or cruel. It is about being whole. It is the realization that your presence is a finite resource, and to treat it as anything less is a betrayal of your own soul. The void is no longer quiet. It is filled with the weight of your own power. You have moved from the background noise to the main event. You are no longer the one waiting for the text. You are the one the world is waiting to impress. The store is closed to the bargain hunters. The gates are locked to the parasites. You have finally stopped being everyone's free sample and started being your own master. The price is paid. The transformation is absolute. You are finally, unapologetically sovereign. The grand epiphany of this journey is simple but devastating. The world does not pay for what it can get for free, and it never respects what it does not have to fight for. You've spent a lifetime being the nice guy, only to realize that kindness without a backbone is just a permission slip for others to ignore you. Today, that cycle of invisibility ends. By embracing the cold logic of scarcity and the heat of self-respect, you haven't just changed a social strategy, you have reclaimed your soul. You are no longer a commodity to be consumed. You are a sovereign power to be invited. This is the ultimate victory. The moment you realize that your greatest asset isn't your utility to others, but your unyielding loyalty to yourself. Stand in your power, hold the line in the silence, and never again negotiate your worth with those who are only looking for a bargain. The transition is complete. You are the diamond, the prize, and the absolute master of your own domain. Now that your sovereignty is established, the real war begins. Maintaining the fortress against a world desperate to drag you back to the clearance rack. Most people reclaim their power only to lose it during the first psychological counterattack because they lack the tactical discipline to handle the silence. To ensure your price tag remains permanent, you must master the advanced blueprints used by the elite to command respect without uttering a single word. We are assembling a circle of those who have chosen to be the diamond rather than the drain. If you are committed to this total psychological repositioning, secure your place among the sovereign. Your next masterclass in social dominance is waiting on your screen right now. Enter the next phase, or risk fading back into the background noise. The choice is yours.